Lesson number 4. Are You a Christ? By Reverend Angelo Distefano. Ever since a carpenter named Jesus manifested the power of Christ consciousness over 2,000 years ago, the structure of humanity was forever changed. His concepts and spiritual principles have played a major role in evolving humanity to its present state of consciousness. In fact, no other person has had such an impact on humanity. To say he was a hero or savior of the human race would be a total understatement. His whole life was to be a pattern for humanity. All of his teachings and power was drawn from the essence of universal love, this being the most creative and powerful force in the whole universe. Jesus was the first person to call himself the Son of God. Back then, the Hebrew priests and politicians wanted him killed for this statement. However, he was stating the truth, for we are all sons and daughters of the one true God. Jesus' words of truth include, "Where I am, you too shall be. These things I do are not of me, but through the Father. Ye shall do even greater things than I have done." All these statements of truth confirm that we are much more than just physical beings. These profound statements totally suggest we all possess powers of the Christ within our own being. We need but unlock the door to the soul to empower the forces of universal love. When universal spirit is recognized, we too can have the powers of the Master Jesus displayed. If we can overcome the material world and obtain universal love, we too can tap the secrets of the universe. Many people look upon the name Jesus Christ as a name or person. In reality, Jesus the Christ is a title of one that has obtained the highest state of consciousness that any human being has ever obtained. The essence of Christ, or Christianity, is that of creative power, universal wisdom, and universal love. This is also the essence of what we know as God, or the superlative being that is the I Am Jesus spoke of. Although it seems impossible to scope or comprehend something so vast, we, as God's children, are truly one with our Creator. Whether we are aware of His presence or not, God is always with us and is the true creator of all life. Therefore, at any given time, we could take the quantum leap of faith and possess spiritual attainment, thus become a manifested Christ. When the powers of the mind become one with the omnipotent, omni-intelligent, and omniscience of the universal Logos, all things become possible. All barriers and so-called limitations cease to exist when we believe in our heritage as spiritual beings. Jesus taught us that love is the foundation of all creation. Also, faith or belief is the key that starts the flow of universal love. The stronger our faith in God, the stronger Christ consciousness manifests within our being. In turn, we become more intelligent, creative, and powerful. If you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. The purest manifestation of Christ is within the child. Children know nothing of hatred, jealousy, anger, greed, or even ignorance. These are faults of humanity, not of God. All that is of God is of pure love. As Jesus stated, to enter the kingdom of the soul, you must be as a child. In other words, a child is pure, open, trusting, and free of guilt. The Christ child is within all of us. It is the core of our very existence. Unfortunately, the further we project ourselves into the material world, the more we confine and restrict that Christ child within us. In the rapid-paced world we live in today, it is very easy to lose sight of the Christ principles. Mass communication has brought the entire world together. If the news broadcasted was positive by nature, and the so-called entertainment industry was wholesome and humane, we would feel reassured that Christ was alive and well within everyone. Instead, the Antichrist manifests the illusion of fear, violence, anger, and doubt. This creates separation among people, causing many to believe there is no hope or good in the world. As Jesus stated, "Beware of the world in the last days, for the world is like a hungry lion waiting to devour you." Many of the messages Jesus taught pertained to modern times. Remember, he was the greatest prophet and seer of all time and could foresee the future of humanity. To be a Christ, we must first realize that all spiritual consciousness is of the one consciousness. God is all, and all is God. Christ consciousness is the only true reality. The only way to achieve this higher consciousness is to relinquish the self-ego. Only then can we manifest the universal ego. All things are of God. The trees, water, sky, stars, animals, humans, and every atom. All things of animate and inanimate form. All things of creation are of God's creative life force. Many scientists try to separate us from God. Most of them believe only in material principles. We are not separate from God or His love. We are life exhibited through Spirit. The omnipower is fully present everywhere, in all that exists. Each person is of the one and cannot be separated. Each of us is a separate identity within the one identity. This was the main teaching of Jesus. To be of pure mind and heart is to be of the Christ. Each person is a unique Christ identity, all possessing unique spiritual gifts. All are truly created equal in the eye of the Creator. The Christ identity in each of us is a universal teacher, healer, and leader. Only through inner self-awareness can we realize this. When asked about the kingdom, Jesus replied, "The kingdom of the soul is within the heart. The heart is the keeper of the soul." It matters not if a person is rich or poor, handsome or not. We are all connected to each other through the I Am. The principles of universal truth often test the foundations of all societies, governments, and religions. When we put our faith in humanity instead of spiritual intuition, we will surely lose sight of our Christ self. As Jesus stated, "Seek ye first the kingdom of the soul, and all will be made known unto you." Remember, the kingdom is within. If you look anywhere else, you are deceiving yourself. Words describing Christ consciousness: love, compassion, wisdom, creative power, faithful, forgiving, freedom, truth, intelligence, joy, prudence, honesty, justice, merciful, equality, non-materialistic, generous, understanding, open, cooperative, willful, enduring, prophetic, clairvoyance, elevating, inspiring, sensitivity, intuition, mediumistic, non-prejudiced, non-limited, trusting, knowledgeable, spiritual conviction, stability, leadership, and innovative. These are but a few of the spiritual words connected to Christ consciousness. These are qualities we all can possess. To be a Christ, we must embrace the light of good and righteousness and rebuke the ignorance of darkness. We need but take the first step towards light and the higher self, and the Spirit will be there to guide us. Knock, and the door shall be opened. Only through submission to the higher forces can we find true and lasting freedom of body, mind, and spirit. Only we can open the door to the soul and overcome the forces of darkness and evil. If you spell the word evil backward, it spells live. Therefore, the way to Christ is truly in reverse, or a reversal of self-consciousness. We must reverse our thought. To do so would recreate our childhood consciousness. Ye must be as a child to enter the kingdom. The road to Christ consciousness is not an easy one to travel. It is often the road less traveled because of the total commitment necessary to achieve it. Until we reach the peak of our spiritual existence, nothing in life will be permanent. Until we recognize the inner self as truth and the outer world as illusion, we haven't a chance of obtaining true and lasting spirituality. God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son. It would be nothing for the Spirit to force us into being our higher self. God's true love allows us to find our own way and time. Jesus is the pattern of the Christ, and his words inspire us when he says, I am the way and the light. Whosoever comes unto me shall find peace, O Lord. Thou hast been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever thou hast formed the earth and the world, from everlasting to everlasting, thou art God. This concludes lesson number 4. Are you a Christ?